I've got my T6 now. I used this tool to find the stuff. It's called edb.io, and you click on the station one. There's all sorts of things here you can play about with, but click on the station one, put in the ship you want, and put in some key modules. You can actually put in all the modules, but it's going to take you a long time to do that. And it's not 100% accurate, so you're probably wasting your time doing that anyway. But um, you might want to put in the frame shift drive, 3A frame shift drive or 4A, whatever it was. And when you put an A one, that's if they've got the A frame shift drive, they've probably got the A um, power distributor, power plant, everything else like that as well. So you generally only need to put one in there, and then just put in a couple of the mining modules like the refinery or something, and it'll take you then gives you a list of stations and systems where they got all that stuff. So just be careful you haven't got one here like these ones with 100,000 light seconds from the start of the station, because it's going to take you like 10, 20 minutes to get there. Look at that one, 400,000 light seconds away. Yeah, so that one is going to take you a fair while to drive from the start to the station. So just pick the one, the ones few hundred be fine. So I had to go to two different stations, one to get the T6, and then the other one, I got nearly everything except for the collector limpet. So I had to come back and get that. I've deviated slightly from what I showed you before. I mean, all these things were, but I've still got my two 32-ton cargo racks, 3A collector limpet controller, but because of what was available, I got a 4C bi-weave shield instead of a 3C one, a 3A fuel scoop instead of a 2A one, and I've downgraded the refinery to a 2A, which just means they're going to collect 4 tons less, because the other, I think it was a 4A refinery I had in the other one, had 10 tons in the refinery. But it's not a big deal. We're only going to use this ship once, and then you'll have enough for a Python, because we'll be carrying 64, so we could get 100 million from the next trip. Might need to do 2 trips in this. Right, so there's the vital thing, 3A collector limpet controller. It's got 2 limpets, and with this stuff, like always A stuff with the collector limpets and prospector limpets. I think the prospector limpets last longer if they're A class. I don't think it affects what you get out, does it? Might affect the number of fragments you get out as well. So always get an A prospector limpet, and the same with the collector limpets. They last longer. That's the main difference with the collectors. So yeah, don't forget, strip everything off the hauler before you sell it, and store anything that you could use on this ship. Like I stored the detailed surface scanner, so you could, I can't remember what refinery it was now, but if it was a 2, you could store that, and then you've definitely got that here, and so that helps. And also the heat sink, and I stored the mining laser, but they had them here, where I got them, so it's no problem. Right, the other thing is the T6 is a little bit heavier than the previous ship, so be mindful of that. When you come to the station, it takes a little bit more slowing down. It's not quite so manoeuvrable. When it comes to landing, if you take all your pips off the engines, you shouldn't have any problems with that. And later on, after I've done the mining, I'll show you how to land at a station. There's a little trick which makes it a little bit easier. So I'm off to the mining now, and then I'll show you how to use the collector limpets. Right, so here we are at Boran again. Same spot. Don't forget your limpets before setting off. So I took a bit of damage that time, so I went a bit faster. Yeah, just while I'm flying to the rocks, I'll show you the fire groups This is how I've set them. With the prospector limpet controller on fire group on trigger 2, the collector and mining lasers on trigger 1, and then the scanners on in another fire group for travelling. And you won't need to DSS the rings this time. They're persistent as long as you have the detailed surface scanner with you. So we'll just quickly see what happens with the pirates. So as you see, nobody's come yet, and sometimes they wait until you've fired your first prospector. So I'll just wait here a bit, says limpet. Oh, you want to bring about, you don't need to fill right up with limpets this time, because you'll be collecting faster than you'll be using them. So probably about 50 to 55 for the first trip. So this time the choice of rocks is a little bit more important. If you take a fast spinning one, not only does it spread the fragments right out, but there's a chance that the limpets can get stuck or the fragments can get stuck. If a fragment gets stuck in a rock or on a rock, then the limpets will keep trying and exploding. So just while I'm waiting for the pirates, here you go. They try and catch you out like that. Just when you think that there's nobody going to come. Oh, here's a miner. So you can tell that by the mining beam, obviously. But you'll see that if I scan him, it's clean. But you don't need to once you see the mining lasers. So I think that's going to be it then. Normally the pirates come very, very quickly afterwards. So there's a nice stationary rock. So I got to change fire groups now to get my prospector and mining lasers up. So fire a prospector. Now I had to do a little bit of power management this time, so I've arranged it. I've put the frameshift drive on priority 2, so that when I bring out my mining lasers, it switches off the frameshift drive, because I don't need that when I'm mining. So that's too low. Because I had the biggest shield, it's taken more power than what the power plant can handle. I think, yeah, I broke that one. I was going too fast when I fired it. Right, I've done a bit of power management because the bigger shield I had, the power plant hasn't got enough power to provide everything I need. So what I've done, I've put the frameshift drive on priority 2, and so I've got enough power until I bring out the mining lasers. So when I deploy the mining lasers, what will happen is the frameshift drive will go offline. So here we go. So you get that message. So now I can't use the frameshift drive. What will happen is when I put the weapons away, the frameshift drive will come back online. It'll just take a little while to get ready to reboot. So here we go, 27%. That's enough. Anything more than 15%. So just come nice and close. So get the right fire group. So I've got my collector limpet mining lasers on this one, and just fire the lasers. And you want 4 pips to weapons, and probably 1 to engines, 1 to systems. What'll happen is, open up your cargo scoop. Yeah, what'll happen is the firing the trigger as well as working your lasers deploys the collector limpets. So they'll just start collecting up the fragments for you. So dead straightforward. You don't have to do anything extra. And what will happen is after you've depleted the rock, the limpets just move and position themselves underneath your cargo hatch. So you have to be careful, like when you're moving around between the rocks, not to rub your belly on anything because it'll obliterate the limpets. Now, the other thing is, once you start mining, you want to keep the ship fairly close and very still. Now, if the rock's rotating, sometimes you have to like move it in and out a little bit to avoid the bumps. But the limpets want to travel in a straight line. And if you get a fragment the other side of the rock, they'll try and go straight through the rock. They'll just bang into it and blow up. And then another limpet will come out, and it'll just keep repeating until you've run out of limpets. So always try and keep a straight line with nothing in between you and the fragments. So you can see this is a lot easier and quicker now. So bearing in mind we can get about 100 million, and you can see I don't know how many tons we've got already. They're coming. So where are we? Inventory. So we've got 5 tons. It's 5 million we've made just in those. What was that? A couple of minutes. So when the rock's depleted, don't be in a hurry to move your ship. This becomes much more relevant when you've got, say, a python with loads of limpets. Let the limpets collect up all the fragments before moving. Otherwise, you'll break that straight line between them. So there you go. That's the first rock. So just waiting for them to collect up the last ones. I mean, you can move a little bit, but just not enough to make it so that they've got a long way to travel. So the same thing will happen. Like if you're lucky and you find a lot of good rocks, oops, going not quite in the right direction. If you find a lot of rocks, good rocks straight off, don't forget your cargo hold's going to fill up. So this time you most likely will have to abandon some limpets. There's a really good one. You don't get much higher than that. So this one's rotating slightly, so I'm going to have to watch out it doesn't clout me. So I'm just moving back slightly as I'm doing it, as the rock's coming round. So as I said, slow moving rocks are not too bad. You can use your side thrusters just like to move a bit out of the way to avoid the worst bits. But this one, the limpets and the lasers are matched nicely together, so it's collecting the fragments as they come out. So when you've got the python, you're going to be getting a lot more fragments than what they can handle, so you have to wait a little bit at the end. The longer you wait, the more spread out they are. So this mining with the 2 collectors and these 2 class 1 lasers in the T6 is quite very comfortable and convenient. You'll find that when you get a bigger ship, it doesn't work quite so well. But as I said, as long as you don't move the ship too soon after you've finished lasering, you should be okay. And a choice of rocks, you'll find out, is quite important. Now, some people say that you should go for the axis of rotation because that bit is effectively not moving. But the problem is the rocks flip their rotation while they're rotating. There's a strange effect, I can't remember what it's called now, but in space when there's no gravity and something's spinning, it doesn't just rotate in one direction, because of inertia effects, it'll flip. So whichever angle you come at it from, I mean, you'll see now it's starting to rotate more sideways than it was before. Like when we started, it was like vertical. So they do move around a bit. It's a bit weird. So get ready to move if you have to. Where's it going? It's coming towards me. So when it clouts you, it does sometimes kill the limpets. So there's a fragment got stuck now. So I'm going to stop pulling the trigger. I'm going to like rotate the ship around a bit, see if I can get the limpets to collect them up. This one, choice of rocks is important. What can happen even is the fragments get caught in a crevice in a rock, so smooth rocks are always better. I'm down thrusting all the time to keep up with the rotation of the rock. So your thrusters are very important when you're doing this. Where's it gone? It seemed to go straight through the rock. So this is a problem. The fragments can actually end up inside the rock. Yeah, so it's gone now. So when you get these stuck fragments, it's going to take all your limpets if you're not careful. So we try a bit more. Especially, you know, in a small ship when you haven't got that many limpets. It's only a few more. I'm down to 2% now, so I got most of it. You can see I don't have a straight line to those other limpets, so it's why they're exploding. So you see that one? It just hit the rock. Where's it going? Got that one. You don't have to collect everyone. If you get them really stuck, it's better to move on to another rock. So he's gone. Let's see if we can find the fragment. I mean, you can collect them manually if you want. There's something out there, but there it is. It's not showing. Oh yeah, don't forget the ignore list. So just make sure I haven't collected anything that I shouldn't have done. Missed. I'll let the limpet collect that. If I fire my lasers, the limpet will come out. Because that was in space, he'll get that. Oh, I did target. If you target a fragment, the limpet will collect it and expire. So the only reason I want to get these out of the way is it's weird they're not. I should get the chevrons around it so I can see where it is. There it is. I can see it with a white square. So the limpet can get that one now. So just pull my triggers. And I've not got it targeted this time, so the limpet will collect it and bring it in and stay active. So that's about it with limpets. I don't think there's anything else to show you. So you've seen it go wrong and you've seen it go right. If you accidentally pick up something because you forgot to add it to the ignore list, like I did just then, in the refinery, the little arrow thing on the right hand side there, with the cursor on there, just press the select button. The same with that one and that one. Obviously don't do that with your low temperature diamonds. And if you've got anything in the in your cargo, just one press of the select button and down here abandon. Right, and then obviously add them to the ignore list. So I've just got the message from the pirate, big haul like that. Surprised you made it this far. So he'll interdict me. There we go. So I'm going to submit this time and use the other method. So boost, heatsink, boost again. And now you see it's not actually doing me any damage. I can't boost again yet, but now I can get my frame shift drive going. Boost again. And you'll see he's already 4 kilometers behind me and I'm pulling out on him rapidly. So I didn't even lose a fraction of my ring of quite weak shields. So that's quite a safe way of getting out of interdictions, but it relies on having a relatively fast ship. You're not going to do that with D-grade thrusters and power distributor. But generally, you only get one interdiction per trip on the way back. So you can generally relax now until you get to the station. Right, to land at a station like this, you want to come in with the green on the right and you come in on the green side.
Regulate your speed and maintain
Use your
current
vertical and side thrusters, you know, to line up a bit as you're coming in. Be careful because this shit does run on a bit. If you come in the same side each time like that, you learn where all the pads are. But without that, so put your dot right on the end of the station, just come in a bit. And what happens now, the mini radar will point to the landing pad. When it's hollow, it's behind you. And when it's solid, it's in front of you. So just rotate round until it's directly underneath. This is if you can't see where it is. And then go backwards or forwards until it's solid and just on the edge of the ring. Like it's on the edge now. Any second now, it's going to change to solid. There you go. So the pad is now directly underneath me. So all I need to do is just vertical thrust down. Gone forward a little bit. I must be tilted a bit. Look. So you can land on instruments. So it's back a bit, back a bit. Be careful not to go over another pad because you get loitering and it mysteriously you can't get off them. So just keep coming down. Oops, just in front of me now. Oh, don't forget to put your landing gear down. And also, for the last bit at least, take off all the pips off your engines. Keep catching my finger on it. So, and that will that'll make your ship much easier to control. So then vertical thruster down. There you go, easy as that.
Docking completed. Deploying ground crew.
So this time we get 1.5 million. That's 98 for the what's in the hold. And then the what's in the refinery is going to refine 98 and another 9, so that's 108 million we got for about an hour's work. So now up to 122 million, that's enough for a Python. So you've got loads of choices now what you want to do. My next video is going to be about combat, if you want to have a go at that. Maybe I'll see you there. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments and hopefully I'll see you again.